All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to walk through a really masterful sequence of character transformation and atmospheric dread that forever changes the path of Jon Snow and Samwell Tarly. By breaking down the exact events of their oath-taking ceremony, we'll see exactly how the Night's Watch strips away a person's past and then thrusts them into a terrifying ancient reality. Let's get into it. So, our story actually begins on a deceptively normal, almost comforting note. It's a surprisingly warm and sunny day at Castle Black. Rivulets of water are melting and trickling down the wall, making the ice sparkle. Jon is just sitting there breaking his fast on apple cakes and blood sausage when Samwell Tarly practically bounces over, whispering excitedly that he's being passed out of training to assist Maester Aemon. But when they head inside the sept, the mood gets serious fast. The morning light is hitting this great crystal, casting a rainbow across the altar, and the air is filled with fragrant incense that actually reminds Jon of Winterfell. Pipe's jaw literally drops, and Toad pokes Gren when the high officers walk in. Lord Commander Mormont stands right in that rainbow light and delivers this incredible speech, telling them that it doesn't matter if they came as outlaws or if they bear proud names or no names at all. That past is gone. On the wall, they are forged into one house. I really want to emphasize the sheer gravity of what's happening here. Mormont makes it crystal clear. Taking the black washes away your crimes and forgives your debts, sure. But the price? It's everything else. You have to wash away your former loyalties, put aside your grudges, forget old loves. A man of the Night's Watch takes no wife and fathers no children. Duty is your only wife now, and honor is your mistress. Mormont even pauses, giving them one absolute last chance to walk out the door, with no judgment, reminding them that once they say the words, the penalty for desertion is death. And unsurprisingly, no one moves a muscle. Now, here's where we see a brilliant illustration of the contrasting belief systems in this world. When Mormont asks if anyone keeps the old gods, Jon stands up. The blood of the first men flows in the Starks, right? But Castle Black doesn't have a godswood. When Gren whispers from the back that he's never seen one, Pipe jokes that Gren wouldn't see a herd of aurochs until they trampled him into the snow. Mormont confirms that to take his vows before a heart tree, Jon has to actually venture half a league beyond the wall into the haunted forest, a place untouched since the Dawn Age. And then, in a crazy moment of courage, Samwell Tarly stands up, wiping his sweaty palms, and asks to go with him. Sam's family has followed the Seven for 1,000 years, but as he puts it, the Seven have never answered his prayers, so maybe the old gods will. Okay, so then we hit a massive turning point with the order assignments. Bowen Marsh steps up to read the list. Grin and Pipe are absolutely thrilled to get rangers. Sam sags with sheer unadulterated relief when he hears he'll be a steward in the library. But then we get to Jon. Jon expects the glory of a ranger, but instead he's relegated to the stewards. He's hit with this wave of sick disbelief and anger, thinking Mormont must have misread the paper. But then he catches sight of Sir Alistair Thorne's thin, happy little smirk, and Jon knows exactly what's happening. It's no mistake. You can practically feel the sting of humiliation here. Bowen Marsh lists out these menial chores. Jon is told he'll be Mormont's personal steward. He snaps back, asking if he's expected to fetch hot water for baths. Marsh frowns and says yes, and also run messages, keep the fire burning, and change his sheets. Jon is furious. "Do you take me for a servant?" he asks. His pride is completely shattered. He storms out of the septon in a rage, looking up at the wall, wanting to just smash the whole thing to pieces, because he genuinely believes this is a deliberate plot to shame him forever. But let's pause for a second and think about this. Why would Lord Commander Mormont request Jon specifically? Just to be a jerk? Jon certainly thinks so, crying out that he's a better swordsman and rider than anyone else and that it just isn't fair. But it's actually Samwell Tarly who stops him in his tracks and forces him to see the bigger picture. Sam hits him with this brilliant realization. He tells Jon, look, the old man isn't just an old man, he's the Lord Commander. By making Jon his shadow, Jon is going to be taking his letters, sitting in on important meetings, and squiring for him in battle. Sam brings up his own father, Lord Tyrell, who made Sam attend him in the audience chamber just to watch and listen, right up until he decided his other son was a better heir. Sam realizes the absolute truth here. Mormont requested Jon because he's grooming him for command. This is a huge, profound internal shift for Jon. He remembers his own father bringing Robb into his councils at Winterfell. He remembers his uncle Benjen telling him that on the wall, a man only gets what he earns. Jon looks at Sam and realizes a really harsh truth. Craven or not, Samwell Tarly had found the courage to accept his fate like a man. On the wall, you grew up, or you died. So deeply ashamed of acting like a petulant boy, John lets out a huge sigh, admits Sam is right, and swallows his pride. They agree to head out together to say their words. So late that afternoon, they finally set out, and this sequence builds some incredible suspense. We physically walk with them through this claustrophobic, tomb-like descent into the unknown. Since the wall has no normal gates, they have to lead their horses down a narrow, twisting tunnel cut directly through solid ice. 3 separate times they're stopped by iron-barred gates, and Bowen Marsh has to unlock these massive chains to let them pass. John can literally feel the vast, crushing weight of the wall pressing down on him. The air is colder than a tomb, and when they finally re-emerge into the freezing afternoon light on the north side, they're stepping into a reality completely isolated from anything they've ever known. John whistles for his direwolf, Ghost, who races ahead into the tree line, and the moment they enter the forest, the tone shifts completely, from character drama to pure, unadulterated dread. John knows the wolves would back home, but this is different. They've ridden past the end of the world. The trees press in close, entirely shutting out the setting sun. Every single shadow looks darker. The thin crest of snow cracking under their horses' hooves literally sounds like breaking bones, and the wind rustling the leaves feels like an icy finger tracing up your spine. As the sun sinks below the trees, they reach their destination. And notice the number here, 9. Finding a grove of 9 weirwood trees growing together is just unheard of. Even back in the Wolfswood, you'd be lucky to find 2 or 3. 9 of them, arranged in a rough circle, really emphasizes the terrifying ancient magic of this spot. Bowen Marsh immediately orders them to leave their horses outside the circle, declaring it a sacred place they absolutely will not defile. The imagery here brilliantly captures the eerie, watchful presence of the old gods. The forest floor is completely covered in fallen leaves, blood red on top, black rot underneath. They step into the grove, completely surrounded by these 9 bone-pale trunks. Wide, smooth faces are carved deep into the wood, and their eyes are crusted with this dried sap that's as red and hard as a ruby. 9 faces, all staring inward at them. Sam slowly looks at each unique face and whispers, "They're watching us, the old gods." John kneels down in the snow, and Sam kneels right beside him. The gray day turns completely to black night. Their voices fill the twilight grove, speaking in unison. "Hear my words and bear witness to my vow. Night gathers, and now my watch begins. It shall not end until my death. I shall not take wife, hold no lands, father no children. I shall wear no crowns and win no glory. I shall live and die at my post. I am the sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the fire that burns against the cold, the light that brings the dawn, the horn that wakes the sleepers, the shield that guards the realms of men. I pledge my life and honor to the night's watch, for this night and all the nights to come." The second they finish, the woods fall dead silent. Bowen Marsh tells them, very solemnly, that they knelt as boys, but now they rise as men of the Night's Watch. John pulls Sam to his feet, and the seasoned rangers actually offer some smiles and congratulations. But just as they achieve this massive milestone, the dread spikes. Dewin, this gnarled old forester, cuts the celebration short. He warns them they need to head back right now, because dark is falling, and he smells something in the night air that he really dislikes. The horrifying reality of the haunted forest is already starting to close in. And suddenly, Ghost comes back out of the shadows. There's this deeply unsettling visual parallel happening here between John's direwolf and the ancient faces on the weirwoods. As Ghost stalks softly between the trunks, John realizes that with his white fur and red eyes, his wolf looks exactly like the bone-pale trees with their bleeding ruby eyes. Ghost is completely tied to this ancient magic. And as the wolf gets closer, they realize he's carrying something in his jaws, something black. Marsh frowns and demands to know what he's got. John kneels in the snow and calls him over. "To me, Ghost. Bring it here." The direwolf trots up and drops it. The absolute silence of the grove is broken by Samuel Tarley taking a sharp, terrified breath. "Gods be good," Dywin mutters. "That's a hand." Literally, minutes after these boys swore their lives to be the shield that guards the realms of men, the very real, extremely deadly threat of the haunted forest drops its first grim message right at their feet. So what kind of nightmare is waiting for these new brothers out in the endless dark? Well, that's the kind of question that will keep you up at night. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.